Who in my life? I think my mom, because I'll tell you a little bit about her and why I think she motivates me. She grew up in a little town in Mexico called Iramuco, Guanajuato. Really small, little rancho. And, she was going to school. She just didn't even finish first grade. She doesn't know how to read or write to this day. And yet she managed to raise 3 kids. She managed to have a family. She managed to own her little house in Mexico where she lives right now. And it just goes to show that, she just had this desire to, to survive and to live and to have a family and to do all this stuff. So, she's my inspiration, honestly. Like we talk once a month, twice a month. That was very significant, I just remember, because all the things that we went through, and we didn't really struggle a lot, and that's because of her and, also my dad, what they did, to raise us, so that was really important. I think my dad came to the United States in '74. He was the first one. He came up here as part of the Bracero program, which was called back in those days, which was basically the immigrant worker. So that's how he got his visa and all that stuff rolling. And then once that happened, my mom came up with him, and we came to the States, like a lot of families, I would say, to look for a better life, for better opportunities. After I was born, my mom realized that she didn't like living in the United States. Partly because she didn't know how to read and write. That made it much more difficult to learn English. My dad learned English, but he had more education than my mom, so it was a little easier on him to learn the language. But my mom never could learn English, so she got a little frustrated. And she told my dad, I don't like it here. My kids are born, we're not going to have any more kids. There was the 3 of us. So we moved to Tijuana, to the place where my mom still lives to this day, actually. My mom still lives in the same house where we grew up. The same little place that she bought in 1983, which is when we moved back down there. And then, by that point, my dad had his visa so he can commute to the United States, to San Diego, that area, and work, and then come back. So a lot of families, in Tijuana specifically, I think it's the most, if I'm not mistaken, it's the most it's the busiest border in the world, basically. Partly because a lot of people do the same thing that my dad did. They get their papers in order, they get their visa, their passport, and they come to work in the States. They live in Mexico because living is cheaper. And that's what we did, And it worked out for a while. It did, So that's more or less what happened. Well, a lot of folks, when they see me, they don't think I speak Spanish. Especially here in Roseland. I live in Roseland, 5 minutes away, and I'll go to Lolo's or something. I'll go to a taqueria, and I'll try to speak to them in Spanish, and of course, me being güero, they don't think I speak Spanish. It doesn't occur to them. It's this guy doesn't speak Spanish. It's he's blonde, but I just think it's funny, unless you've seen someone with albinism before, you wouldn't know. So I'm not too hard on them. I don't ¿por qué no crees que no hablo español? It bugs me a little bit, but I live with it because people see me and they've never seen someone with albinism. They just think I'm European or something or whatever. It's not the case. It's not the case. So that's just something I would say. So if you guys see me around, just be aware that I do speak Spanish, and that's all. Well, I'll give you a little bit about albinism. It's a recessive gene. It's really rare, actually. I think 1 in a couple 100,000 people have albinism in the world, maybe more than that. And it's even more rare because I have an older sister and an older brother, and both of them also have albinism. So my brother lives in Santa Rosa. He works in Santa Rosa. My sister lives in San Diego. She had a daughter who does not have albinism. So it's a really rare recessive gene that, I don't know how much you guys know about genetics and all that stuff, but basically both parents have to have that same recessive gene in order for somebody with albinism to be born. So it's really rare. It's really, but the only thing that really affects me is my skin. You know, I'm really light-skinned, and I have a visual impairment also. So those are the two things that happen with albinism. But it's really rare. Like I said, chances are if I have kids, they probably won't have albinism. My sister had, like I said, she has an 18-year-old daughter who does not have albinism. And my brother, well, if he has kids, chances are maybe not also. It skips a couple generations is my understanding. You know, like, so like I was told that, you know, in Mexico we have someone in our family, a distant relative that did have albinism back in those days. So like, if you can imagine, that was like, you know, decades ago. And here we are, my brother, my sister, and me. Our kids probably won't have it, but we're still gonna, you know, but our future generations are still gonna carry the gene. They're still gonna have it there, and if the right combination happens, you know, we might have another kid with albinism in the future. That's an interesting one. Insights. Honestly, yes. You know, like there's been periods in my life where I only thought in my mind in Spanish. There's periods in my life when I only thought in my head in English. It was really complicated to do that. I think, and even when I go visit my friends in San Diego and Mexico every now and then, like me trabo. Like I'll like start thinking of the words in English, and I can't say them in Spanish. Just a little funny thing that happens to me every time I go to Mexico or I speak more Spanish, is that you know, like I basically have to, you know, I don't know. I feel like I'm bilingual, but sometimes I feel like I'm not, you know, just because it's so hard to kind of juggle both languages and do it right, and then you do a Spanglish thing. But man, insights. You know, I think own it. I would say. You know, I think it's important to really have some sense of pride of your background. You know. I mean, it's funny with me because, like I said, a lot of people that look at me don't think I speak Spanish. Therefore, they don't think I'm bilingual, bicultural. But you know, like, I think it's cool, man. Honestly, I like being able to, you know, to hang out with people, you know, Latinos and Mexicans and Hondureños and Salvadorians, and be able to speak their language and communicate with them. And at the same time, you know, I like to be able to hang out at work, you know, where I mostly speak English, and I have to be able to, you know, just do things in English and work with American people or folks that were, you know, they're second, third generation Americans in this country. So, you know, and it's really, I think if I can tell you guys something, it's been very beneficial for me to be bilingual now that I'm a little older and I'm working, because it's a skill that it's needed a lot. I don't know if you guys are bilingual. But if you guys, for a lot of folks, especially in the workforce now, you know, like a lot of people are speaking Spanish, and I see it at work too. You know, like people walk in and they don't know English, so I have to attend to them and talk to them, and it's been very, very positive, very helpful.
Hi, I'm Santiago Cancher. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Leslie Kenna.
Hi, my name is Anthea.
Hi, my name is Brian Felita.
Hi, my name is Luis Velasquez.
Hi, my name is Roberto Trinidad.